Says I'm live again. Well, that's good. I don't know if you heard that or not, but my phone just told me that I was live on YouTube. So I guess that means I can get started. Hi, everyone. My name's Richard. Welcome to my channel at Richard Getter. And I've given it a nickname, What's Up with Richard. If you were here last week, I think last Monday, I started a dollhouse project. And as you can see, there's no dollhouse here yet. So I thought what I'd do is give you a little bit of an update, show you some of the things that I learned about putting this thing together, some of the mistakes that I prevented myself from making by getting in a big hurry. And then I thought maybe I would just start doing a little work and some chit chat. Anyway, I have a few new subscribers this last 8-10 days, and some of them I will have to do a shout out here eventually for the ones that I know. And thank you very much. I appreciate it. Being a small YouTuber, and it's tough. It's really tough to get subscribers, and especially on a channel like mine. It's a variety channel, and they're not the most popular because you're all over the map doing different things, but it's fun to make the videos. It's fun to watch people, enjoy them, and I especially enjoy the comments that people make. So thank you much for that. All right, let's get started and find out. This is the Orchid Dollhouse by Greenleaf. And one of the things they have you do is punch out, these are roofing tiles or shingles. And put this up here. The process they wanted you to do is to tape it down on a board, and then you pop them out. Now, of course, there's more than just one or two there. There's a few. And some of them come out real easily, like that last one did. And some of these. So this is what I did one night, listening to some music. And of course, not all of them come out as easy as that one did. And of course, we got some that look like that. It still goes in the pot. And then we have some that just fall out. And then we have some that they're not coming out regardless of what you do. And then I ended up having to get the X-Acto knife and just trimming a little bit. So yeah, it's one of the more tedious parts of this particular dollhouse. Now, some dollhouses, you can actually buy the shingles, or the shingles will come with a kit and they're already pre-cut and you don't have to do this. And like this one is not coming out too easily. And you don't want to break too many. This is a bag of ones that I've broken, or that came in the kit broken. Now, you might think that's a bad thing, but it's not. Because when you shingle a roof of a dollhouse, you're going to have to cut, and you're going to have to, match up certain areas. So those will come in handy whenever I have to do a corner or have to trim at the edge of the roof. So anyway, you can see how exciting that is. And of course, sometimes these break off. And yes, it's a tedious process. I bet I spent an hour. Yeah, that's one that I'm probably going to have to trim a little bit. Now, so you can see that it does take some time to pull out the shingles. So anyway, I think I had, this was one sheet, and I think I had 8 or 9 sheets. And it wasn't hard, but it took time. So we'll move on. One of the things I learned when reading the direction on this project was here they gave you some definitions of the words, definitions of face up, face down, and then R and P, and then they have numbers in the parentheses, and then they have the front. All right, so let's see what they mean by that, because I went crazy trying to think of what are they talking about. And then they said, oh, these sheets are numbered. Well, I couldn't barely see the number. It's right here. It's just lasered in dots, and they're hard to see. So I just numbered each one with a piece of tape. And of course, after you start punching things out, it starts falling apart. So that's what all the tape is. It's holding the parts together. That way you don't lose track of what part is what. For example, this is number 2. And then to find out what these parts are, you have to go to this big sheet, and you go to sheet 2, and you can see what each of these different parts happen to be. Of course, not all the parts you need are on one sheet. You may have to have, some of them are on sheet 2, some are on sheet 5, and back here, I labeled them all, put them back in the box in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which made things a whole lot easier in that process. So what does it mean by the front? The front would be where you can actually see the cutouts. You can see it real clearly there where it's been lasered, but on the back, not. So that is the smooth side, as they call it sometimes. So if it says face up, the parts are going to be sitting this way. If it says face down, the parts are going to be this way. And some parts are exterior and some are interior, and you really need to separate those out. That's why they say, specifically in the directions, don't just punch these things out willy-nilly, because you can lose track of them. Now, I have done exactly what they said not to do. I have already punched these out, and this is all part of the gingerbread, and they've all been sanded. So you punch them out. I'll talk about what they call that in just a minute. And I've sanded them, so these are ready to be painted. If you did it one at a time, one step at a time, it would take you forever to get this thing done. So those are ready to paint. Now these I have punched out, but if you notice, there's no black dot here. So I know that these still need to be sanded. Haven't finished that up yet. This is more of the gingerbread work, and it has all been punched out, and I taped it back to the original sheet. And the reason I did that is just in case I need to match it up to one of the different spots, and then I can always tell what it is from here, because they call for individual parts at certain times. So all these have been sanded and ready to paint, and that's going to be part of my project today. All of these are going to be painted the same color. It'll be the blue. So I can get all that first coat of paint and go on from there. I've got a couple things finished already. These are the windowsills, and they have 3 coats of paint each. I'm going to have to touch up around the edges on a couple of them. But what you do is sand very lightly. And then the next thing you do is put a coat of paint on it. After it dries, you sand and you put another coat of paint on it, and you sand and you put a third coat of paint or the final coat. Every one of these has 3 coats of paint, which takes time because you have to have it dry between each of the different coats. So you have to have some patience when you're working on this one. The front door looks a little ragged here, I know, but this is finished. It's got 3 coats of paint on it, and that is finished. I haven't finished the back yet. That needs 2 more coats. And then what you do is you're going to be gluing these together. And now it's starting to look more like a door. And you also have these little embellishments that go on here too. You get that all glued together, it's going to look pretty nice. Plus, I don't have my glass in there yet. That's one of the next thing I have to do after I finish getting the painting done here. And then, of course, all of that is surrounded by a casing. So it gives you some idea of what the front door is going to look like. And again, it's just a long process, long, slow process, but that's part of the fun. And the painting, I enjoy. I don't mind sitting here and doing the painting. It's sort of relaxing, and I can put in the earbuds and listen to some music. Pretty nice. I'll show you some of the other pieces here. And these pieces right here go on some of the windows. Oh, that happen to be in the dormers. And again, those will have windows in them. These are finished. I just need to glue in the windows. All right, let's talk about what else you have to do on these models. And one of the things they say is that you need to R&P, which means remove and prep. So to remove these pieces, and I have some, these are window sills right here, and I already have 4 over here that I pulled out and have sanded. So they're done. Oh, that's how you remove them. And then it's easy just to, especially when there's more than one, I just use my fingernail and push down until they pop out. So that's the remove process. And then of course, they all have to be sanded down. The edges, front, well, you don't have to do the back. And again, make sure you know what the face up is. These are pretty easy. You can tell which side is the nicer side. And that's the side that you're going to paint after you sand them. And then, of course, you do the same thing. Put a coat of paint on, let it dry, sand. Put a coat of paint on, let it dry, sand. The whole process for each of these little parts. So put those there and we'll finish those up. These also go on the underneath the windowsill. It's part of the casing. I'm not going to punch those out right now. I'll do it a little bit later, but you got the idea. This big piece here is the, I believe, the 2nd floor. And this is all going to be polyurethane. And I am going to paint the inside of the dollhouse, which I've never done before. So that'll be sort of a new experience. We'll see how that goes. Once again, this is the smooth side. So that is the front. So you get some idea of the size of the dollhouse. Now, one of the things that I had a hard time understanding was how the windows work, because you're supposed to get a double hung look to this. And I had no clue after reading the directions the first time. The second time, I went on the internet I looked at YouTube, and there are other people who have done this, and that helped. But she still didn't explain in detail how to do this. So I'm going to show you what the process is. Now, before you can do this, though, you have to paint. So I can't really do this, finish the windows up and put the windows on here until I paint. I've already decided that this is going to be a gray color. And I have the paint here. So it's going to be all gray. Of course, then you have the blue, and you also have the magenta. That's the other color that it's going to be. So this will be gray. And then how to make this look like a double hung window. What you do is, oops, upside down. This window goes here. I'm sorry, this window goes up here. And then what you do is you paint white around here. You got to paint it the same color as the sill. The other one goes in the back, and then it gives you that double hung look when you put the casing around it. So it's going to give you a double hung look when you've got the casing around it. Of course, all that's going to be glued in, but I think you have the idea. I don't know what was wrong with me. I read it over, I read it again. What are they talking about? It's not that hard, Richard. It's like, I don't know. But whatever, I got it figured out, and it's really going to look cool when it's done. And these will be white, and the casings will be red or magenta. The sills will be magenta. Sills, no, the sills will be blue, and then the little part of the casing that goes underneath will be blue or red, whatever. I have, well, that's one of the things that what did I do with that Kindle here? Anyway, the windows should be finished by next week. This should be painted by next week, front, and I am going to paint the back. It'll be a different color gray, and then the upstairs floor, one of those is going to be white because that will be where the bathroom will be at. So there we go. Oh, what fun. I got some. One of the things that I did to help me out was I downloaded on the Kindle one of the advertisements for the dollhouse. And then what I can do, tap on it, it gives me a bigger picture. And then I can enlarge it. And the nice thing about that is now I can tell what's going to be what color. And I'm following pretty much the color scheme that they have here. I've noticed other people that have done this on YouTube, they've a little bit more elaborate and have used their own color scheme, which I did on my previous dollhouses. Whatever color they wanted, that's the color I put on it. So meanwhile, a little hint, I know it's sort of hard to see, but this is wax paper. So not only does, and I've got it taped down, and not only do I paint on this, and it protects this wonderful old card table that we got for a wedding present. oh my goodness, almost 46 years ago, 45 years ago. Yeah, coming up 45 years we've had this table. I am sitting on one of the card table chairs. I think we have two others, and one of them just unfortunately didn't make it to number 45. So we use this table for tailgating when we went to football games, and it's a wonderful thing to use on a nice flat surface when I'm doing dollhouse stuff. So I guess without further ado, I suppose I should start doing a little bit of painting here. So and I think this is the casing. So after just looking, I know this casing is going to have to be magenta. So it's just simple painting. I always like to make sure that you're painting the proper side. I almost goofed up. I did on the door. That's what happens when you don't follow and read directions. How many times did I tell my students, read the directions first? I got to practice what I preach. I've been out of the education business a long time now. So anyway, we're just going to paint here. And I normally will paint just a light coat because you're going to sand most of it off anyway. And all that does is fill in the little imperfections. I don't know if Mrs. G, she'll watch this later, but you shouldn't be wearing that shirt when you paint. You'll get paint all over your shirt. Yeah. It's an old shirt. I have more. In fact, I have too many shirts. If you look out the window, you can see, especially if you watched last week, most of the snow is gone. Absolutely gone. However, they've informed us that, guess what? We're supposed to get tonight anywhere from 1 to 6 inches of snow tonight. We've really had a mild winter here in Michigan. In fact, my brothers right now are up in and they might be on their way home, but they were up in the upper peninsula of Michigan. And they almost didn't go because the Upper Peninsula, which usually gets a ton of snow, has not had that much snow this year. Apparently, there was enough for them to head on up. And they did get some snow this week. So but this paint dries really fast. Messy. I'm a sloppy painter. So this just shows you one of the things you do. And like I say, you can listen to some music, and it's like coloring. I have an adult coloring book, and I mean, not an adult coloring book, a coloring book for grown-ups. That's more detailed than you would get if you were doing like a Mickey Mouse one. But sometimes I'll just sit and color. When you're all stressed out, that's a good thing to do. Just relax. And believe me, this was sort of a stressful week. You ever heard of when it rains, it pours? I had one of those rains, it pours kinds of weeks. Now, if you remember in December, hooking up this temporary battery charger, one of those portable ones, I fried the radio in my car trying to start it when I hooked it up backwards. Couldn't figure out why I got such a big spark. Okay, well, I ended up having to put a battery in my 12-year-old van. All right, no big deal. The only thing that was damaged was the radio. Everything else was working. Well, we're doing some plumbing here because our washing machine is on its last legs. But we couldn't shut the water off to the washing machine to replace it until we had some plumbing done, because I am not going underneath in the crawl space. Not going to do that. I've been down there enough. So I figure, you know what? Let's put some shut-off valves in here. So we called the plumber. We got the shut-off valves in. And when he took off our laundry tub, he goes, you know, this thing's all rusted out back here. The drain is in really bad shape. You might want to replace it if I'm going to come back. Okay, no big deal. They're not all that expensive. Yeah. Well, the distance from the wall out to the edge of where the laundry tub is right now is 22 inches. You cannot buy, we did find one, but you can't, the one we have back there's 20. You can't buy one that is less than like 23 inches, 22, 23 inches. So it would stick out way too far every time you walk back into our utility room because it's narrow back there. You're going to stub your toe. I did not want to stub my toe every time I go back into the utility room because that's how we get out into the backyard. Anyway, we looked. Home Depot. We looked. Where else did we go? Lowe's, Menards. We went to all of them. Came back home because we didn't buy one. Thank goodness. We were going to buy one, but we would end up having to take it back. Remeasured everything. Finally decided, well, the best we're going to do is a 22 inch. So it will stick out about an inch. Maybe that won't be too bad. Anyway, we went back to buy it, only this comes with a faucet. It comes with the little shower thing, and it cost $99. Whereas the one sitting next to it that was bigger was like half that price because we got all this other stuff, which we don't need because we just put a new faucet in. It rains when it pours. Anyway, I thought what we could do is, and actually Mrs. G came up with this. All right, we'll buy the more expensive one. And if she likes that faucet better, we'll have the plumber put that faucet in. We'll take the one we bought, we'll take that out, and we can donate it to Habitat for Humanity. So that would be a good idea, I think. And that way I'm not wasting my money totally, and somebody can use it in their house. Yeah, come on. So on the trip to go pick it up, a light comes on in my car. Not a good one. It's, what was it? I wrote this down here somewhere. The ESPBAS, which means it has to do with the brake assist system, and it also has to do with the anti-lock brakes, that kind of a thing. Now, I've been looking online. Is it dangerous to drive it without this on? And I get mixed things on it. Some people say replace it right away. Some people say, no, it's okay. So I'm going to have to do a little more research on it. That doesn't look too bad. And do some more research on it. I lost my train of thought here. And then decide whether I want to have it fixed or not. I mean, it's a 12-year-old car, for crying out loud, and we generally don't drive it more than 25, 30 miles from home. So I don't know. Now, price-wise, well, it all depends on what it is. And I tried resetting the steering wheel thing. That did not work. And I'm wondering if I didn't short something out and it just took longer for it to shut off after I did the battery thing, which is what I'm thinking. So I'm going to have that diagnosed, but it could be anywhere from 100, 200, 150 to 800. If there's some kind of pump for the anti-lock brakes, That thing's like anywhere from $800 to $1,000 to get it fixed. That's more than the car is worth. It's like, okay. But that's not the worst of it. The worst of it is on the way there in it to get the laundry tub, somewhere along the way, I picked up a piece of metal in my tire. Now, I did not notice it right away. We got home and we didn't go shopping. If we'd gone shopping, I may have noticed. Parked the car. That night, we got snow. We got about 2.5 inches of snow. So I'm out shoveling the snow, happy as a clam because it wasn't really too bad of a job. It was lightweight. And I also, not only did I uncover the driveway, I uncovered a flat tire. And I mean a flat tire. There's nothing worse than having a flat tire in the winter. Unless it's a flat tire when it's hot as heck, either one. And I've had both. But in this case, I couldn't see anything wrong with the tire. I looked all the way around it. I backed the tire up, backed the car up and looked and backed it up a little more and looked. It's like I couldn't find anything. Finally, I'm reaching around, look, and finally, all the way around to the back in the sidewall, there's a little piece of metal. It looked like a little triangle, a little triangular piece of metal in the sidewall. So the next project then is, well, let's go get it fixed. So I drove down to the one place. Well, we don't have a mechanic. Now, this is on a Friday. We don't have a mechanic until Tuesday. That doesn't do me much good today. But she said, you know, you can go to this place or you can go to this, the next town over, and they can fix it for you. So anyway, I was lucky because I ended up here in town and they took the tire off and I knew it was in a precarious spot, but can we see you for a moment? There's like 3 of them looking at this tire. I'm going, no, this can't be true. It was true. It was very definitely true. They didn't want to patch it, or they didn't want to, I think they were going to plug this because it was in the sidewall up near the tread, but enough in the sidewall, they said, this is not a good spot to be doing this. It could be very dangerous to drive on this. Okay. We could find you a used tire. And I'm thinking, well, that's a possibility. Let me think about it. I says, plug it and we'll see if it leaks. The next day, I ended up looking outside and the plug that they put in, of course, I hadn't driven it anywhere except maybe the 1.5 miles back home, but it didn't leak. So I talked to Mrs. G. I said, well, what are we going to do? So we went and looked, and those tires have been on that car for 7 years, over 7 years, I think. I said, they're old, they're tired. We've already replaced one. Okay, we replaced one when we had a blowout. It's 7 years old. The guy said, you know, that you got a lot of tread, but there is dry rot around the wheel. So, okay. So anyway, we decided to head to of course, you get online and you start doing all the research on tires and how expensive tires are. And we found a place in Michigan City, Indiana that we thought, well, let's try this. They're relatively new in town. We'll give them a shot at seeing what they've got. And of course, before you go, you call to schedule an appointment. They wanted some information first, so when you get there, they pretty much know if they have the tires or whatever. So, and they asked one question, which I wasn't sure. They said, do you have 16 or 17-inch wheels, rims? I said 17. And then, of course, they gave me a quote for 17. So we got in right away when we got there, and about 10 minutes later, uh-oh, that's never good when they say, can we see you for a second? Yeah. Uh, your rims are 16, they're not 17. So the tires we quoted you on, we don't have. When it rains, it pours. So anyway, you guessed it. I had to upscale my tires on an old car. So I don't know, some of you people that watch this, some of my subscribers are not from the United States, but one of the things we have here with this pandemic is a lot of people are out of work, and the government's been offering these little, I think $600 payment to people to help cover some costs. Well, I spent mine. I guess you can say I'm stimulating the economy. Between the tires and our laundry tub, it's all gone. Now, I was hoping to actually spend that on a more practical, well, I guess that's practical. I can't drive the car without tires on it. But I was hoping to maybe spend some of it on some of our local restaurants, because I know a lot of them are hurting right now. But Mrs. G has her money, so hopefully we'll be able to do that. Still, I can't believe it. It's like one thing after another. It just sort of snowballs. Snowball. It keeps getting bigger and bigger. The only thing that's getting bigger and bigger is a lot of money that I have to give to somebody else. Oh, Lordy. Okay. No snow yet. I said Mrs. G is not here. She's not here. Maybe I should have been going out to the casino. No, I don't have any money for the casino. I spent it all. Oh well. She's up with her sister. Her parents, or her dad, when he passed, put their childhood home in all the girls' names. So not only does she own part of this house, she owns part of that one. And they're going up there, and I don't know what they do. I know darn well they're going out to lunch somewhere. Meanwhile, I had a can of soup. I know that happens, but they do a lot of work around the house, keeping things straightened up. And when her sister moved in, she has her stuff, and also she has a lot of her parents' stuff still in the house. So I know we've been looking to do some clean out, and we were going to do it last year, but with everything that was going on, it just was not going to happen. So hopefully this summer we'll be able to get in there and decide, what to keep and what to move out. And I mean, she's got some pretty nice stuff in there. A lot of antique things. And I know they've gone through and tried to find the value of some of these things, but having fun yet? Actually, I am. I can just sit here and talk idly for a while anyway. But anyway, Mrs. G isn't here, so I could be getting into trouble. And I'm sitting there just painting my fingers magenta. The nice thing about this paint is that it's water soluble, and I will go back to the old laundry tub. I probably shouldn't do this with the new laundry tub once it's installed. I get paint all over it. I might get yelled at. In fact, I know I will probably get yelled at. Why didn't you do that outside? There's a new laundry tub and it's all pink. Okay, it's all pink, all right. Jeepers. Did I ask if you were having fun yet? I wonder how much anybody's going to watch of this. Part of the reason I'm doing this on a live stream is because it's a really great platform on YouTube to be able to do this. And I don't feel guilty really too much about all the time that this is taking, because, well, I just finished watching a live stream before I got on here, and he's usually on answering questions and chit-chatting with people for a couple hours, you know. So if I'm on here for 45 minutes or an hour, yeah. Of course, he is monetized. Maybe that makes a difference. I don't know. I got too much paint on there for this. He's monetized though. So, and if he got, I think he had 70 some people on. And if they're on, for every minute he's on, you know, he's getting view time for that. So if there was, I can't tell if there's anybody on or not. It doesn't. Oh, got a couple people on here. That's good. Quarantine and Chill is here. Holy cow. I'm sorry. I have a hard time seeing the screen back here. How are you? Sitting here. That's amazing. Thank you for coming. Somebody else is there too, but I can't tell who it is. They might be shy. Oh, Lordy. So, Quarantine and Chill's channel, I think he's from, see, I don't want to get mixed up here, but he's definitely from, I believe, the west coast of India. Is that correct? Living somewhere in that area. I know he's done some really nice, he's done some nice ocean views on YouTube. And I also know, and I've learned a little bit about the sports in those areas, which I don't know much about. So anyway, I can't even remember what they call that. I know he was talking about some of the professional players that were being released because they weren't performing. Does that happen in the United States? I don't know. They do, but not like they used to in the old days. I mean, professionals back in the day, in the 40s and 50s, they could, if they didn't perform, they could actually take a cut in pay. Could you imagine that happening today? Some of these guys, what do you mean? I was making $18 million a game last year, and I only batted 125. At least I hit the ball a couple times. I ought to be worth at least another 2 or 3 million. I can field. It's like, okay. Anyway, I sort of get fed up with professional athletes and athletics, but they do have skills that some of us will never have. So I guess in that respect, that's fine, but Jiminy Christmas. Some of these guys, it's just how much money they make for what they do is ridiculous. You know, I played baseball for 2 or 3 years when I was a kid and did not get paid a dime. You know, and they're doing the same game. It's the same game, for crying out loud. Oh well, big bucks. Looking good, looking good. Got too much paint again. So anyway, if you're watching this either now or on the playback, and usually it takes hours for my YouTube videos, live streams to play back. So it probably wouldn't be up until tomorrow here in the USA. And I don't know what the time difference is between here and, well, Australia or London or on the shore of India. So I'm not sure what time this will pop up. Gorgeous. 4 down, 4 to go. What did I say about paying attention? I just painted the wrong side. Anyway, won't make a whole lot of difference because that side gets glued to a wall anyway. So oops, almost did it twice in a row. So how's the weather where you're at? If you're one of those folks that are not from the USA, how's the weather? Especially if you watch the playback. Now I have an idea when I watched the was it yesterday's episode of Not the Real McCoy, who's in that southeast corner of Australia, that he said it was pretty warm. And I'm just thinking he was saying it was just hot, especially when he got his car stuck there. Not a good time when it's stinking hot like that. And it's interesting because where he's at, it's really hot. And where I'm at here in Southwest Michigan, this is when we normally get our coldest days. And we normally get the most snow. Even though the last few years, it's been sort of strange weather. If you look, we have barely any snow now. And even though we're supposed to get some tonight, I think last year it was almost the same until March. And then March is supposed to be getting springy. And that's when we started getting our nasty cold weather and snow. Now, March around here has never been real pleasant, but shouldn't snow, not on a routine basis, and stick. You know, we would get snow, but then it would, melt within a day or two. I got one watching. I wonder if, is that Mrs. G? Oh, let me see. Okay. So anyway, if you'd let me know what your weather's like, I think that'd be sort of cool. Simply because I sort of like what's, geography. And I know when I get a YouTube subscriber like Quarantine and Chill, and he put down where he was, give or take, I was able to get on the internet there and get an idea of what it was like there. And I was also able to do the same thing with Martin, not the real McCoy, get an idea of where he was at, even though I have no clue where spot X and spot Y are, as he names them. But after you watch long enough, you can almost tell where he's at before he even says it. Watch enough videos, and he's into surfing. And oh shoot, I forgot that article. I was going to share an article in our local little paper here. There were guys in Bridgman, Michigan, which is not too far from here. And they have pictures of them surfing out by the water inlet. And you can just see the ice covered on the water, or on the water inlet. I mean, covered in ice. And he's out there surfing. That is hardcore. Looked like he caught a real nice wave too, though. Well, a little bit chilly. Of course, he did have wetsuit or dry suit, whatever it is, covered from head to toe. And then they had another picture of him carrying his surfboard, walking out to the water, and the ground is just covered in snow. So, that's another interesting thing too. This time of the year, he shouldn't be able to do that. He shouldn't be able to do it because there should be ice buildup on the shoreline, 10, 15, 20 feet high. But it hasn't been cold enough, long enough for that to occur. And as a result, we have all this erosion going on. And for 2 years in front of my house, for crying out loud, semi-truck after semi-truck after semi-truck of boulders. You're talking boulders. They're huge, headed down to the lake. And I've done videos, if you look at my impending disaster videos, you can see all the stone that they've put along the shoreline trying to keep it from eroding the shore away. Just amazing. And this is usually when we get those really hard north winds, and that's when a lot of the erosion will take place. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, I did some Nordic walking, and I couldn't go as far as I couldn't go as far. What am I? Some kind of which some I hadn't gone as far as I used to go. I couldn't go as far, and I couldn't go as far because they had some machinery there, and that machinery was putting big rocks right in my path. About 200 yards or so from where we used to go before we had to stop. So it's not getting better, even though I think the lake level has dropped a little bit. It's not nearly as bad in the marina. I know one of the, I think is at the Marina Grand Motel is built right on the marina. And when the water level is up, because the river water's going out the channel, when the wind is really hard out of the north, that water can't get out of the channel and it just raises up. And it does that naturally, 5 or 6 inches anyway. But I'll tell you, it has flooded that parking lot of that motel where they've lost probably 10, 15 spaces on a routine basis all summer long. Particularly bad in the spring, last spring. But we haven't had the rain and stuff, so the water level's gone down. So hopefully that'll help a little bit. But yeah, if you have a chance, look at those videos. You'll get some idea of what the people along the Great Lakes have had to deal with. And it's not just Lake Michigan. It's all the Great Lakes. The water levels are high. Come on, baby. I'm not used to this live stream stuff. I wonder how long quarantine and chill was there before. Probably an hour. Usually, nobody's there. I did the Halloween one, and it was like I had like 3 people. And I'm sure one was Ed, watching me make a goof out of myself. Oh, shoot. I'll tell you what, if you're not patient, you would stop building this thing by now. Now, some of the other parts, these are the tedious parts. But when I do this, the front, I have a bigger brush. After I sand it all off, I did do one sanding coat, but I have to do on the inside of the windows here yet. I'll be done with that in 5 minutes. And I still have to do the 2 sides. So the whole thing, and I have to do that out in the garage because I have more room, even though it's 28 degrees out there. I can do that out in the garage and get that done in no time. So that really goes fast. It's this little itty bitty piddly stuff like this that takes forever. Oh man. I might as well just paint my fingernails. Everything else is the same color. Uh, that's definitely going to need some sanding. Okay. Now, if you notice, I'm putting all this, well, you really can't see it, but I'm putting this on this wax paper. The nice thing about wax paper is if you spill a little extra on the back, it'll come up without sticking. If it was on newspaper or something, the newspaper is going to stick with it. See right there? That one stuck, but I mean, it popped right up. So wax paper works really well when you're doing this kind of work and you're painting like this. And like I say, these are already pretty much dry. So as soon as I'm done here, I got to figure out what else I need to paint this color. I think when I'm done here too, I'm going to, another one of my subscribers, I believe, she's still a subscriber, I can't tell, is Bonnie Nadine Newman. And she's got a lot of music on her channel. And I just got a new subscriber today who also looks like he's a music channel, which is nice because then I can got something to listen to and watch while I'm doing this tedious kind of work. So thank you. And like I say, I just, before I started the live stream, notice I had a new subscriber. So that's always nice. Always nice to have a new subscriber. All the way up to 58. All the way up to 58. Which I am pretty pleased with. You know, considering my channel is one of those that, you know, the YouTube dudes, the ones that tell you how to monetize. Like, what is that, Nick Nimmin? I subscribe to his channel, and he says all the things that you need to do. Then you have Brian G. Johnson, and he tells you all the things you need to do. And those are all the things I'm not doing. So that can sometimes cause a problem. Yeah, and the thing is if you really want to do well on this platform, you need a personality and a niche. I do not have a niche, and I've never been known to be a personality. As much as I try. Almost got it. But I've enjoyed making the videos, and I don't think I'm going to stop. Not in the near future, anyway. I might go back to just doing one a week. It's been really hard. A lot of the things that I want to do, I can't. They're all closed down. Now, there's one coming up, which I did last year in St. Joe, I think February 5th or so. they're going to do another one of those ice fests where they do the ice carving. Now, last year I went up there and showed the ice carvings, and I showed one person who was actually doing the carving. You want to know what got the most view? If you look at your analytics, you can see where people are going, where they're viewing, and it's going. As soon as they got to the guy carving, that was it. As soon as they got to the guy carving, they were watching. They were not watching too much, just the ice sculptures. And then after I finished that, I went down below the bluff, St. Joe. Actually, that's where I filmed my last video that was up, where the articulated tug was backing out of the St. Joe channel. And all I did, now I had to substitute music in there because they were playing Beach Boys music because it was some kind of Summerfest kind of thing in there. So, but in there was a carousel. It's a very popular carousel. And of course, there's a lot of paraphernalia from the old Silver Beach amusement park that used to be located there. And you want to know what got even more views? The carousel. When I was in that carousel room, that's what people were watching. Now, unfortunately, this year, the carousel is probably closed, and I don't think it'll be open. It would be nice, but I know they just pushed back sports here, high school sports. So I sort of doubt it'll be open. That's too bad. But this year, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going up there when they're doing the actual ice carving. I think that'll be a lot more fun to watch than just looking at a bunch of carved statues. Maybe I'll do that to ice carved statues the next day. But yeah, it's you learn. You learn. Unfortunately, I learned a little bit too late on that one. That's too bad because it was really a nice video. And I got a fair amount of views on it for me. So I'm not too upset with it. But it was just interesting how you, on the analytics, you can just see where people are watching and where people said, Richard, why are you videoing this? This is boring. It's sort of like right now. How long have we been going? Over an hour? Well, if I get somebody to watch this for 15 minutes, I'll be happy. Especially my sad sack story about going to buy a laundry tub and having it cost me a bazillion times more than it should have. Oh, Lord. Okay. Yeah, like I was saying, though, they are postponing high school basketball. Now you might ask, why do you care? You're not playing. I don't coach anymore because I've retired from all that stuff. So why do you care? Well, that's because my son is a junior varsity coach at the local high schools, one of the local high schools here. And I keep the scorebook for him on some of his road games, since it's hard to get people to ride a school bus for an hour and a half to watch a game and keep the score. So I've been doing that the last couple of years. I'm not real great at keeping the scorebook, And I don't really like to do it, not because I don't like to do it, but because I sometimes get more involved in the game than I should, being a former coach, and not pay attention to the scorebook. So, but both he and the varsity coach have been pretty appreciative, I think, that I'll do that for them. And I know how hard it is to get people to volunteer to do those kinds of things, really. Now, at home games, it's a little different because people that do the scorebook and stuff there, they actually get a stipend for doing it. They get paid. So, all right, there's one coat. All done. All right, now let's hit the Kindle here. Okay, it looks like I have to do these are the window sills, and I already have 4 of them prepared. Of course, I got them all mixed up now, so that one is good. That one has got to be sanded, sanded, good, good, needs to be sanded. So I'll do those later. But while my fingers are already magenta, I will put a coat on these. Oh, these are going fast. This one's going fast. Not too much to it. Yeah, some of the wood is split here, so it makes it a little bit hard to paint. I forgot all about my tea over here. Have to warm it up when I'm done. Oh yeah, that's so pretty. These actually are painting up pretty well. I probably will only need a couple coats. Like I say, the wood though is split and it's a little bit tricky to paint on the sides here, but the paint does a good job of filling in. And then with a couple sandings, light sandings, I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do with this thing once I'm done with it. There are a couple possibilities, but Very nice. Very nice. Make sure I paint the correct side again. Now, the only problem I have sitting here doing this, other than boring the heck out of the people that are watching or who will watch, is my back starts to ache. A few years ago, I had some issues with my back where it took some medication, x-rays, medication, and about 6 weeks of physical therapy before I finally got it to the point where I could go back out and ride my bike. So I don't want to go through that process again. So when it starts to bother me, that's a good time to quit. Now I think this is an exterior, but I have to double check. And I know on the bay window, that's going to be red, the magenta. And then these side ones, I think they go like this at an angle. Those will be the brilliant blue, as they call it over here. So that ought to be interesting how that all goes together. Once again, yeah. Once again, I want to thank all my subscribers. I want to thank the new subscriber, and I'll give you a special shout out here. Eventually, I know it's a music channel, so I'll have to go in and listen to some of his music. If you like a variety channel, please go ahead and subscribe. That's how you can help out small YouTubers, by subscribing. And then you don't have to watch all the videos, but if you watch a video here and there, I'm pretty sure that if you ring that little reminder bell, sooner or later, you're going to find one that you're going to watch. The other thing that you can do to help small YouTubers and is to watch, even if you don't like it sometimes, watch at least 50% of it. If you do that, that definitely helps the analytics. But if you pop on and after 45 seconds, you're gone, that just kills small YouTubers. And yeah, we're just learning. I mean, I've been doing this for what, October, November, December, 14 months, maybe. And during the current health situation, it's been really hard to get out and do different kinds of videos. Just to let you know, I do bicycling videos. I have another one coming up on Saturday on how to carry things on a bicycle, regardless of whether you own the bicycle or not. And we'll go over that. And I have a cooking video the last Wednesday of every month. I'll be doing a cooking video. I'm making soup on Wednesday from scratch. This is an interesting recipe, and it's mostly my recipe. It's not one that I started with a recipe out of a cookbook, and after doing it for how many years, I just started adding things, and it actually turns out to be pretty darn good. So anyway, I do that. I also have serendipity. This will probably go into serendipity because it's not really in any of the other playlists that I have. I do have nature videos that I do where I go out and take walks. And in fact, if it does snow tonight, I'm going out to the nature preserve that's not too far from here. And I want to do it a winter walk, and then I'll go back in the spring, and then I'll go back in the fall, and I'll go, and then, so, and I've already done the winter one. So I think that'll be interesting. So you can see how the environment of the preserve changes during each of the seasons. And it's not too far from here, so a quick trip. And I think the snow one will be sort of cool because it's the woods when it's been snowing can be really pretty awesome. I also have a couple videos. Uh, One of them's called Winter Beach, where we're going to take a walk along our local beach during the winter time. And I have another one, which is a winter scene backyard video, just one of those days where it was a damp, wet snow and it stuck to everything. And it just, as much as we hate to shovel the stuff, absolutely beautiful. So you have those to look forward to. And I know there were a couple videos that I wanted to do. Unfortunately, the places are closed. Hopefully, I can get up to St. Joe and watch guys do some ice carving with all kinds of exciting tools, chainsaws. Uh, I missed that last year. I'm making sure I don't miss it this year. Maybe somebody will actually watch the video. Check out some of my older videos. Check through the playlists. It's real easy just to sort of scroll through them. And if you find something, fine. If you don't, yeah, that's fine too. Anyway, I want to thank you for watching the couple live streams. Thank you, Quarantine and Chill. Sorry I didn't notice you up there, but very seldom do people ever pop up on there. So I just have to get used to looking up at the screen. And I see I have still one person on. That's probably Mrs. G and her sister. Anyway, thanks for watching. And now you know what's up with Richard. Bye now.